Welcome back to Made Up of Wires, where we're decompiling a robot that moves blocks to make a 1-bit pixel display. Or, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That's actually what we're doing. If you're not familiar with the Castlevania Symphony of the Night decompilation project, you can go to switten.z.dev to learn more and see what we've decompiled so far. Current estimate is about 40% of the game is decompiled, and we're working on getting it to 41% today. We've been working on the reverse keep, and that's what we'll keep doing. We found Yorick yesterday, and so I think Yorick will be the best place to start, and then we'll keep going from there. There is one thing based on Mottzilla's video, and I played this yesterday. I posted a link on YouTube as well. If you're subscribed to me and not him, you should subscribe to Mottzilla as well. But Mottzilla had the Maria mod done by Zianimo, who started the decomp project. He got this working on real hardware with a real disk using the GameShark Pro, which has 256K of additional memory, which just so happens is the amount of memory necessary to store the Maria overlay. So pretty cool stuff there. Definitely go check out his work. Mottzilla does a ton of work on the randomizer, among other things. Definitely a cool thing to see running on real hardware without having, and a retail disc at that. Pretty crazy. If we have time, what I think I want to do after getting some of the RTOP stuff done is see if we can actually improve that mod slightly. Currently, it relies on the Richter overlay. So we go in, we load Richter, but instead of loading the Richter file that comes on the disk, we load the Maria overlay instead. Can we mod that even further and add a new special name so that you could put in Maria and get to Maria mode that way? We'll see if we can do that. I haven't looked into it at all to know what quirks there might be, but we'll give it a shot. So let's get started. We're going to look at Yorick. Just a quick review from yesterday. We did a bunch of splitting of the reverse keep files. And we want to this again, Yorick. Three functions currently. Skeleton pieces, which is a modified version of the skeleton pieces that's used by other skeletons in the game. The only difference between Yorick's version and the other versions is this explosion timer 2, which is used in place of the regular explosion timer that's done by the skeletons. So we have that, as well as Yorick's skull, which we did yesterday, and then the function for Yorick himself. I want to run format on this. Interestingly, or not, depending on what you think about what's interesting, our linter didn't seem to pick up flags, and that could be that there is a new flag. Nope, it got it. Okay. Yeah, so undoing this. This flags, when we set this to a hex value, we have a linter that'll come through and put the enums in there. Hey, Test2, good to have you. Glad you could catch the stream. Appreciate it. I am trying to get streams out to YouTube in addition to Twitch to see if there's an audience over there as well. I guess I need to be back in that file. So we're going to grab this entity Yorick. I named this right before the stream. We know that this function is the entity update function for Yorick, so I called it exactly that. In this way, when we go to decompile this, we should have some nice symbols already in there for us. So this is going to be an ASM US ST RTOP non-matchings, because we don't have a match for this yet, in the Yorick directory and entity Yorick. So I'm going to go over to decomp.me. Same thing basically every stream. If you haven't seen the stream before, we use decomp.me to do a lot of the decompilation. Why do we use decomp.me? I'm going to save that tab for the PSP version if we need it. We use decomp.me because it has all of the compilers and presets that we need, unlike something like Ghidra, which may or may not be able to call out to some of the tooling we have, or maybe we need to build tooling. Somebody built this already for us. We get a nice display too. This is specifically built for matching decompilation, where we want to write some C code over here, and we want it to compile to exactly the assembly that we have in this target column. I still think, and I've mentioned it before, I think target should be on the right and current should be on the left, because then you have what you're writing, what it compiles to, and then what you want. But nobody asked me. All right, so M2C gives us our initial decomp. 200 lines is a reasonably sized entity, not too bad. We need to get this compiling though, and the first thing to do is basically get rid of all the things that M2C couldn't figure out and put question marks, which don't compile. So we're going to get rid of all the function declarations. Function declarations are largely unnecessary for most of this code. Every once in a while we'll run into something where we need them, but we don't need them today. We have a bunch of symbols that will get put into various places. And those symbols... Sorry, I have that running in the background, and it's triggering me. I have something else running in the background too. Blender tutorials. All right, let's get back to that. Oh my goodness, hold on 1 second. All my YouTube videos decided that they were going to restart all at once. That happens from time to time. I think I'll just mute that. And if performance is bad, then we'll go back and shut them down. I do a terrible job keeping tabs open. All right, so let's get back to where we were. All right, so a few things that I'm going to switch. I'm going to change this to EINIT. I happen to know that that's the type that is. Still have a bunch of things that we don't know what they are. We're going to find these in a couple different ways. So when we have a collision function like this, collision takes, I believe, an unsigned 32 pointer to it. We'll go check. Oh, it returns a signed 32. Oh no, it takes a signed 16 array. That's why we look. So we have to go find types for each of these. And that is what we'll do. Another signed 16. We could also just guess at the types. That's not the worst. Then by looking at the instructions and the compilation errors, we may be able to determine what what the type is. I don't know what... looking for the wrong thing. I want animate entity. I'm pretty sure that's a void. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. Is it not in ST? Could be in something else. There we go. So sign 32 takes an entity. This is somewhat interesting. Our args for this are completely wrong. So what I'm going to do is take this. Here are our args that are being passed in. I'm going to take this, throw it in the context, along with entity Yorick. I'm also going to take the two globals that we know, throw those in the context too. I will need those when I import later, but for now, I'm going to keep them there. And then we're going to decomp again. I'm a little sad because I did spend some time fixing other things in there, but if I pull this completely, I'll have to redo those changes, but nothing was too big. It looks like, oh, there we go. Okay, so we have a few additional things. The entity here in... Hey, Roman, good to have you back. It's been a while. The entities here, just kind of floating out in space, these must be entity pointers. They can't be entities. One, they're not big enough. So we'll have to figure out what is going on there. I'm going to look in the assembly for those. It's likely, since these are just used by the Yorick entity, these should be scoped to those segments. And what these are is completely bizarre. So these are not entities. One second. Thank you, Roman. Yes, just saying that my son called and it's during the school day. So I was a little concerned, but I think he's okay. So I'm going to make a comment here. These should not be entities. And let's get back to our what's over here. The first arg to this animate entity function I mean, should be an entity pointer. It's not. I'm going to look for animate entity and see what it's doing. It's possible that like a minimal struct was built that just has like the initial part of an entity that animate entity would need. If so, that's really weird. But it doesn't make sense to me. So I need to find the definition, which is shared everywhere. I don't think it's in DRA or main. I think it's part of ST. Where is animate entity? Let's do this. Let's look for it in .h files. Oh, it's used everywhere there as well. Let's look for a open bracket, which will give us ifs as well, but it is filtered down. Okay, so it's an unsigned 8. I have the wrong signature. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, that makes more sense. So these are not entities. They are frames. Makes a lot more sense. Okay. Next on the list is this 4BC. So we don't have something nice like a function signature to tell us what this is, but we do have a few hints. It's being assigned to an unsigned 8, possibly a signed 8. We'll see later. It looks like an array because we're taking a reference to that variable and then adding some offset, and that is how arrays typically look. The other thing that we need to see is this scaled in any way, and it's not. We only increment it by 1 each time, so the size of this array is probably 1 byte at a time, so that confirms this U8 size here. Let's look at that as well, as long as we're here. I'm gonna go here, and what I want to see is what these bytes look like. Excuse me. Do they look signed or not? There isn't really anything here that I'm going to go. Three, 2, and 1, 4. There's nothing here that suggests that they're signed or unsigned. So I'll keep them unsigned. On the PlayStation, it shouldn't matter. It will matter on the PSP. M2C, we have unsigned 8 and signed 8 fields, wherever that went, in the illegal union. But yeah, reverse keep, that's right. So this is Yorick. This is the entity update function for Yorick. So unlike that previous one, this 4BC, here our stride is 4 bytes. So these are going to be 32s. It looks like they're fixed 32s. We don't have a type for that, so we just call them signed 32s. Actually, we do. We do have an F32 type, but using a signed 32 is fine here. So C4 and EO are both going to be those signed 32s. And those will be arrays as well. And then we only have one more. Find going to do the same thing here. Do we have a stride? Our stride is 2. So this will be, let's go with sign 16. It might be unsigned. We'll see. I'm going to take all of these and throw them in the context. We should now have a decomp that works. Oh, I missed 68 and 78? Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Still don't need these function signatures. I don't know how I missed these. We didn't miss them. We looked at these already. So these are sign 16 arrays. I didn't have them in the context. That's what happened. We'll throw those in the context as well. Thank you, Mozilla. I need my screen managers. I screwed something up in the context. What did I break? 7 to 30. I pasted in a very weird spot. Come on. You can do it. So we'll need most of these. I'm going to grab those and they're going to go in back here. We'll grab this version. We don't need any of the declarations there. We're just going to grab the code. And we're still not compiling. That's okay. Fix this G entities indexing again. Oh, yeah, you know what happens? I think when I got the phone call, OBS decides that it's going to stop capturing, and so I have to restart captures everywhere. Sorry about that. Not much to report. Is it still not working? Yeah. Yeah, something's going on where I keep losing, or OBS keeps losing the ability to capture these windows. And I can always tell because basically it puts do not disturb on, and so I won't get any notifications or anything like that. But then if I see notifications slide in, I know that that's happened, and I need to be better about noting that and fixing my screen capture. So we have a few things that we need to fix. We have these unknown fields, and all of the unknown fields are part of entity. Entity is of size BC, and so everything here is after size BC. And so we're looking at the next entity. And we know from the skull that Yorick is the previous entity. So what we're actually looking at is the skull entity. And what I'm going to do is open and just have this off on the side. I need the entity definition to get these offsets. And basically, each of these we have to subtract hex BC from. So starting with the 140, grab my calculator. Having a good hex calculator is nice for this. So our first one, unfortunately, is offset 84. 84 is the last 4 bytes of the entity extension, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I'm going to make a new entity variable, and we'll call this Yorick skull. And we're going to set that to self -1. Whether or not we use a variable here, I don't know yet. We'll see. The PSP will tell us. So we need something in the entity extension. We don't have anything yet. We don't have an extension for the skull, and we need one, but nothing yet. Unsigned 32. That starts at 7C, and we need BE. No, 140. Sorry, 84. We need 84 minus 7C is 8. Divided by 2 is 4. Sorry, divided by 4 is 2. So I think we're at illegal 32 index 2. Oh, duh. I could have just looked at what it's being assigned from. Most likely it's getting assigned from the same thing. BC minus B, sorry, BE minus BC is 4. Sorry, it's 2. That's position X. So self position, sorry, Yorick skull. Pos XI high is going to equal Yorick skull. Pos YI high? That doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's what it looks like. And then we're going to plus plus. So we have a few more of those to go through. BE, we'll do the same thing here. It's easier, I think, to work with a variable, but it might not be one. And this should be self plus 1. When going from the skull back to Yorick, it's minus 1. Uh-oh. I just saw the notifications. I'm learning. I'm learning. Oh, annoying. Hi. Right, 2 more of these. E2 is a new one. So E2 minus BC is offset 26. Offset 26 is the entity ID. I'm going to move this Yorick skull. This gives us the Yorick skull entity ID too. So we didn't have that previously. So we'll go and make sure that we record that. All right, so 2 more unknown 144s. 144 minus BC is 88. 88 minus 7C is 12. So that's illegal offset 3, which is, oh, I typed a 2 or 3 there, and it should have been a 2. I think 144 is going to be offset 3. Once we get compiling, we'll see. And then this is being used as well on line 59. All right, and we're at 84%. So some of these we should be able to get. just about the right offsets. Others, what gets generated might not give us enough information. So let's do some cleanup first, and then we'll start addressing the differences. I always remove the block comments because, oh, there we go, we lost it again. And I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about this. I get rid of the block comments because sometimes I want to comment out blocks, and C doesn't allow nested block comments. Our default case is returning. What I want to see is if we go all the way down, are we doing anything after the switch? We don't. So we should be able to get rid of this, make this a break. Oops. And then I like to get rid of as many of the returns as I can. I'm not a stickler for single return in a function. That's not the reason why. I just prefer breaks if possible. I'll look for this block 18. So in the block 18 case, it's good to note that that was a return, because every time I need to replace block 18, I need to make sure that it's breaking or returning if we can't break. And there was only one of those, so that should be fine. For the most part, any variable that has a v0 or v1 in it will have to go away eventually. If it has a s2, it's not as obvious. Facing left is used as a Boolean. It won't affect the PlayStation, but it does affect the PSP. Those returns might be relevant. We have to look at this switch. This switch, if we break from it, we're breaking out, so that's fine too. Though it does happen from time to time that that's not enough. Sorry, I missed your comment, Roaming. Is the illegal just a temporary fix? Yes. So the way that entity extensions work, and I've mentioned this before, but it's good to review. So entity extensions are a union. We have quite a bit of space. So we have from B8 to, sorry, from 7C to B8 offsets. So it's basically 64 bytes of data that each entity implementation can use as it sees fit. And so we have this union of structures. The structures can't be any more than 64 bytes. It's actually 63 bytes. No, sorry, 60 bytes. The last four are the same for every entity. So we have these 60 bytes that can be used. And so a union, and see, union's not a common data structure really in more modern programming languages. But basically it says, in this 60 byte segment, allow me to alias this any way that I want with all these different structs. And so we choose one. And so we have the placeholder illegal struct, which is exactly the right number of bytes. And if we look at that struct, it's actually a union as well, if I can spell. Oh, come on. We have a... Oh, it's placeholder. That's why I can't find it. So that's a union of different data types. Hey, Nate. Good to have you back. And when M2C is coming through, what should happen is it finds, well, usually it finds illegal. We might want to move this down so it has lower precedence, but it'll find illegal. And it'll say, of all the fields in this union, can I get one of those to align at the appropriate offset? And then it will choose that. Before we had this, it would put those unknowns in, unknown offset 7, C, unknown offset 8, 6. And then we would have to figure out what the data type was. We'd have to put that, in the correct place in some entity extension, and it was a pain. So this placeholder makes the M2C initial decomp, much cleaner. By having it, though, at such a high precedence, M2C tends to choose that over other structs that may be better. Is that good? Is that bad? It forces us to make the decision. If I'd move this down to the bottom or get rid of it completely, and then we look at the decomp, M2C might choose a different one. And in this case, it couldn't find one. And so it said, entity 13 and entity slot 16, those are both close. And so it's going to try to use those, but it doesn't work out exactly. So which one's better? Illegal makes sure that you get as close to compiling as possible. I don't know which one's better. And I don't really, I guess, have a preference either way. Let me get rid of these go-tos. The trickiest thing with go-tos is to make sure that your return, if you're replacing them, the return remains the same. Now we have one more. This one's a loop. Our var2 s2 is our I. I'm going to fix that as well. One thing that's not ideal necessarily about these older versions of C is the way variables need to be declared. Not my favorite. That actually helped a lot, sticking that for loop in here. I do think some of these other variables here are, oh no, they're probably not part of the for loop. They're GCC things that it's optimizing, and we can get rid of hopefully all of those. This var S3 possibly, but my guess is that that is indexed as well. Yeah, C89 is a pain. Fortunately, most of the stuff we can use a relatively modern compiler. So Roaming's comment earlier about we have a couple things here to fix before I go back to that. Modern C doesn't like unions. C++, I don't know if C++ ever liked unions. Yeah, they're a pain because originally, I mean, really, they were saying, we know you know the memory alignment, and we know you want to access it in different ways. So there you go. Have convenient access to it. And then compiler writers wanted to get smart and thought that they were better than all of us. And so they did crazy things where they want to align things based on what's optimal for the hardware. And you know, most of the time that's the right thing to do. But sometimes it's not. What do you optimize? Do you optimize for the hardware, or do you optimize for developer productivity? And different languages choose different things there. I think that this is, so 24, I think that this is going to be the skeleton parts. So I'm going to add an enum for that. And we can tell if that's the case by looking at einit and looking at what order these come in. So these will be at the index of each of these things, -1. So Yorick, and then skull pieces, and it tells us actually what the next one is too, which is tombstone, which I don't have yet either. These aren't super relevant yet, but as we keep going through, and I actually don't have to number any of these because these are all consecutive. Having these enums is nice, and will become more relevant actually when we get to the PSP version. The PSP version, instead of constants, they are stored in global variables, which is bizarre. I still haven't figured out why. I had a theory that maybe MetroWorks was compiling const globals as global values, whereas GCC takes a const global, and if it's an integer or some other scalar type, and just sticks the number in there because it's const, it's not going to change. Oops. So in the for loop here, we have some things that we're going to have to deal with in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about them now, but it has to do with this offset and how it's being calculated. Basically, GCC has decided to reserve a register for how these indexes are calculated, and it does that, generates the code for that at the beginning of the for loop. I don't want to deal with that right now, but we'll get to it. Oh, that's actually an interesting point, and I didn't think about that, roaming. If we compiled it to a different compilation unit, and so there is no visibility, and so you have to do it at link time, can GCC still inject the constant at link time? That'd be something worth looking at. All right, so eventually we're going to have to figure out what is causing that extra code gen, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. There's a bunch of things here that I'm also not terribly worried about, but I'm going to clean them up. Our position I high here, pretty sure that it's going to be assigned like this. And that might do what we want it, and facing left. Will be done like that. And so we have this skeleton parts. I am going to add that to the context. All right, so we'll come back in a bit if this hasn't worked itself out and figure out what is generating this extra instruction and if we need to do something about that or not. Okay, so let's see what else there is. 187. Oh, this is a plus equals. All these are plus equals. That might actually be something. Oh, that's
Sorry, I'm having problems completing your request.
quiet,
Please
dingus.
try again later. If you continue to have issues, please contact support.
So Romy's comment is if you're using a ternary, GCC or MetroWorks will compile it out to be branchless, which is a cool trick. But only, or not if the values are enums. Because why would you be able to do that with an enum? That's blasphemy. All right, so let's move up here and see if we can figure out some of these. Might have had those backwards. Nope, I got it right. $98. I don't know if we have if our linter will come through and fix these velocities. Be nice if it does. So I had the right offset. So here's where I was saying I don't know if we'll get enough detail to identify if we have the right offsets or not. We do. Yorick's skull is +1 entity over in size, and then we're going into that entity extension. And so we do calculate the right offset. But our instruction's wrong. We're not storing a word, we're storing a byte. So we need to multiply this by 4. So it's going to be 12, and then we're going to use an unsigned 8. Could be a signed 8. We don't have enough information. 92. We're taking this RS2. I don't... Oh. I think that's fine. Our comparison is being put into the V0 register, though, as opposed to... a variable register like S2. I'm going to leave it for now. Oh, cool. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, so previously we did a video of some of the Game Shark codes, what they look like. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. And some of the stuff from Soten.dev. Soten.dev predates me by a while. I was made aware of it by Mozilla and Nate, among others. And some of the stuff there is amazing. A lot of details that we know now from decompilation, but were known long before I think the decompilation project was far enough along to know them, which is interesting. So this should be the Yorick skull variable instead of plus BC. M2C sucks at figuring out offsets when the offset isn't, when the pointer is not to a byte. So you always have to divide by whatever the size of the thing is. 59. Same thing as the other one. We're going to go to, this looks like, oh, sorry, a 12, and then this one's U8. This looks like it's being used as a Boolean, probably. Yeah, so I'm going to change this to false and change that to a truthy check. Okay, so there is a plus equals 4 here that is missing. It's possibly something that I deleted by accident. It is. So unknown BE was position X. Oh, that's what was happening. I think I screwed that up. Yeah, so originally I thought it was the pointer, not the value. I misinterpreted it earlier. So we're pretty close. You register issues. I'm going to go through and see how many of these variables still exist. Yes, thank you. Screen is not updating. I have notifications on my screen. Should have got that. Thank you. All right. I'm going to go clean up the, excuse me, clean up these variables. We are going to need a offset X. And I think this temp S2 can be offset X as well. I don't know why M2C sometimes calls it temp versus these should be sine 16s, I think. I'm gonna put that back. M2C did not like me reusing, or it's not M2C, the match did not like me using two different variables. Oh yeah, drat. Okay. It is a bad screen day. Apologies for that. Every once in a while, was it yesterday? I did update my computer yesterday, so it's possible that that's related. Every once in a while, though, I get situations where OBS just keeps losing its capture ability, and I don't know why. So this is an odd idiom that GCC generates. I don't know why. So this is usually this is how timers look. So this entity extension unsigned 16, we're subtracting 1, and then basically if we've counted down all the way, do some logic. And usually this is written as a minus minus, pre-decrement. And it will be an explicit check against 0. Why it gets shifted over is not clear to me, but that is what GCC always tends to generate. And we're having a mask here, so it's actually a not. Or not, whatever. All right, so we are doing a minus minus. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's happening outside of the loop or outside of the condition or not. We don't need the shift. The shift is superfluous. There we go. I'm not sure whether or not it's going to be a comparison with 0. We'll have to check the PSP version. Same thing's happening down here, though. The big takeaway from that was it was the sign, not these other things. I like the Mac Mini a lot, and I had one not too long ago, and one day it died. It was an older Intel version. It was a 2012, so very old. I think 2012 was the last year that still had upgradable RAM. And usually when something like that happens, it's the power supply or something relatively user serviceable. And it wasn't that. So I ended up selling it for parts, which is a bummer because I did like it a lot. I would get another one, except I don't have a specific use for it at the moment. I do love Mac hardware. It's in a good place at the moment. Yeah. The one thing that is a bummer with Mac hardware, not the biggest deal, definitely not an issue for the vast majority of people, but for this project specifically, we have some, I think they're 16-bit DOS binaries, which if you had like a 386, 486, whatever, you could run those 16-bit with the 32-bit processor fine. Current Mac Minis can translate to x86 or translate x86 code very efficiently and run it faster than the equivalent Intel processors when Apple made that transition. But they can't run 32-bit x86 code. And I have not yet found a good utility. I have been meaning to look at DOSBox to see if how like unlikely possible is it to run DOSBox headless, so that you don't need. So DOSBox, if you're not familiar, will open up a window, and so if it didn't do that, could we run those utilities? DOSBox will emulate 16-bit instructions just fine. And the utilities work in DOSBox. I just want to be able to run it from the command line in Linux or macOS. So I haven't, for this project, I haven't been able to get the build chain working on an M1 processor. And if I could, it would be fantastic. And I would move everything locally and not touch Linux if I didn't have to. I don't mind Linux, but I prefer Mac OS. Oh, we're getting down to the end, and none of these simple things are helping. They're helping a little, but not as much as I want. We have a sound effect, though, and having a sound effect means that we can find the PSP version. So we have register issues. Register issues are not something that is terribly easy to solve for the PlayStation version. There could be things here. So we know Yorick skull is self +1. It's possible that there's no variable being used here, that it's always just a self +1 reference. That does help a little. Actually, the one instruction went away, which we don't want. Really, we just want the register fixed. Another register issue down here, 82. Sometimes looking at how these conditions are, so instead of less than 24, if we did a negative 24, if we did a less than equal to 23, sorry, 25. Sometimes that will, it's more of a MetroWorks thing though, to change to a less than equal and have different registers used. The immediate differences here, there is actually an issue on 155. So I think moving over to the PSP makes sense at this point. These should be relatively quick to find. So we have I think, 2 different sound effects there. Yeah. So we should be able to find one of those. Oh, I cleaned. I didn't clean for PSP though. So I should have these. Oh, they're so good. The sound effects are so good. Always, every single time. They find the right file. You can't see anything that I'm doing though, because I didn't recapture terminal. So I grepped for the 6.2b sound effect. What is the 6.2b sound effect? Skeleton Death C. So we'll come over here. We're going to take that PSP version and keep working. I hope I saved. Oh, something is not happy. Oh, while this is going, I want to take a look at, when that loads, we'll keep going. We'll look at the Maria mod. And so what I was thinking when I was watching Modzilla's video yesterday, the way that the Maria mod was implemented was nice because it's actually very clean. So we do have one maria.c file that has basically a bunch of the integration points. I don't know if let's look at the make file. I don't know if there is any flags that we're setting to identify this as the Maria mod, or if there's any anything else that needs to change in the game. Oh, this is kind of funny actually, because this is our old make file. And all of this has been moved to Ninja. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work here. But what I wanted to do was see if we can find where DRA identifies Richter as the special save name. Or so where is rick.bin loaded? That's probably the easiest thing to find. So it looks like this file, gsim file. And there must be something in here which eventually chooses Richter. Familiars. Monster. What is our index for Richter? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we're loading this at the beginning, I think. It's not. It's not. I don't think it's dynamic. Oh, maybe it is. I'm going to take that back. Let's look for this again. Oh, so we need load file sim. And we need index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's find that. So game handlers. So we have a couple cases there. I thought I saw one more. It's possible that I'm off on my index. Here, this is what I was looking for. Load file sim ps alt. All right, so if playable character is Maria, what I wanted to see was, can we have to look at where playable character is set. So kind of backing through like all this logic, what we want is, can we make this code compile correctly? And what I want to get to eventually, I think, and I haven't discussed this on Discord, so this is just kind of in my brain, the way that I want this to work is, instead of saying, if this is the PSP version, do this code. If the, so getting rid of that and saying, if Maria is enabled, do this, otherwise do that. So here we have the PSP version of assigning Maria. And here, this is the Richter version. Or not Richter version, the PlayStation version. So what I would do here is say, instead of ifdef version PSP, I'd say ifdef Maria, playable Maria, feature playable Maria, something like this. And what that would do then, for each version of the game, we would set different features. And so version PSP would have this flag. And then we can compile the Maria mod, still creating that Maria file, but then also enabling the playable Maria option. And that would give us the ability to put Maria as the name in the PlayStation version and get that code. So I think I'm going to try doing something like that off stream, and we'll see what happens. So I was missing the jump table. Drat. We'll see if we can continue. Still working on Yorick. The jump table is going to only be partially helpful, so I'm not terribly concerned with it. Hey, Flamespy, sorry I didn't see your chat. Thank you for the good luck. All right, 89%, not terribly bad. We do have extra variables, which is pretty common. My guess is that I'd have to get rid of my Yorick skull variable. That makes me sad. It's going to reuse the entity variable. Unfortunately, every time I create a variable that I really like, I gotta get rid of it. So bye-bye Yorick skull. You're now just entity. Cry. We have one more of these, it looks like. So temp S2, I'm not as sad about this one. Temp S2 is going to become offset 6, or offset X. Not sad. See you go. That gets our stack size to be correct. Still do have register issues. It's possible. I thought before that offset X might be assigned 16. Let's go down and look. No, that looks fine. 52, it looks like there are some... Oh, I should be smarter than this. facing left is always treated as a Boolean, or almost universally treated as a Boolean. So if I see anything where it's explicitly being checked against a 0 or 1, it's almost universally wrong. Not always, but 99 times out of 100. It's actually looking very clean so far. 121. The plus plus appears to be happening outside of this, and then there's a second read. So I'm reading that? Yeah. Those are hard to catch on the PlayStation. 134, another case where we're treating this as a, I don't know, what is the right, step is an integer, it's going to be something, but we're using the Boolean not operator. 135. This should be a sign 16. Getting closer. Oh, we have some branches that are going to the wrong place. When all the other instructions are correct, I'm pretty sure that those will work themselves out. 157. Oh, we have ordering issue. And that could have been what caused the other issues. 161. Sign issue here. So FE should be assigned 16. And that also could be causing issues on the PlayStation. Everything else seems fine. Let's go back up to the top. All the registers look like they've worked themselves out. So we only have immediate differences that I can see so far. All the branching is correct now. Immediate differences are just symbol names that we have or don't have. They're not real issues. So I think this is good. Does GCC think it's good? GCC hates it. Screwed something up. Oh, my type is wrong. I don't need these here anymore. I'm going to get rid of them. I put them there so M2C could see them and find them. Not perfect. 95 is not what I want to see. I want to see a round even number. A 90 I'd be happy with. This makes me think that there's something else wrong. It might not be. It could be sometimes like if the name for a function is wrong, that can produce an odd number of differences. But it's this here, 155. Okay, so what probably is happening here is I got rid of a bunch of returns because I don't like them. They're just noise. And I think I might need to put them back. Oh, actually something easier. What I think this is doing I think this is breaking if it's null. Why didn't the PSP pick up on that? That was it. So we have to figure out why the PSP didn't like that. There is an issue here. This actually isn't FE, I think. It should be FCE. C. And because we're starting at 1, it optimizes it to FE. And so that looks worse. Instead of 15, we're at 20. Oh, we're at 20. We could have been at 15. Yes, but if you look at what is being calculated, we're taking FC plus 2, and FC plus 2 is FE. We don't have we don't know what the values of these symbols are in decomp.me. So in this case, we're smarter than decomp.me. So we don't, we actually want the worst version. I must have changed something important. Okay, so we don't have a reference to this, and that's because when the code was compiled, it baked in that FE reference. So we have to add a symbol. This is a little tricky. If you are new to decompiling and you ran into this issue, I don't know if it's something that would be super obvious how to fix, but we can force the symbol here, and that should work fine. And it did. So we have a match. We have all these illegal things, though. Let's fix the illegals. There's an anime called Denuo Coil, which is about some kids who have these AR glasses, and there are bugs and other things. So you have your AR glasses, and basically they just live their world constantly using these. You go to school, and the teacher puts the textbooks in front of you. You can type and do whatever, and then you have virtual pets as well that look like they're running around, but they're just in your AR glasses. And they, so there are these bugs in their metaverse, and they call them illegals, but it's, if you watch the subtitled version with the original Japanese, the way that they say illegal, so all the L's are hard for native Japanese speakers, and then they want to add an additional vowel sound at the end of it. And they say the word a lot in the show. So every time I see illegal here, I think of the illegals from Denuo Coil. It's a fun show. I haven't finished it, though. I should really finish it. So, okay, every time we have illegal, we need to have a symbol for that. And we have two things here. We have both Yorick and the skull. I don't think I have either of these in place yet, so we do need both those. Plus we have the code from yesterday from the skull. We can do this actually in just in Vim. So let's go here. This is a pain, though. It might not be worth doing in Vim. Everything relies on this header file. So if we change this header file, basically every time we recompile, we're going to have to recompile 1,300 files. And I don't want to do that. That takes too long. So I will do it here instead. So all these illegals we want to get rid of. And so we'll just get started. We have two new extensions. One is going to be for Yorick, and the other is going to be Yorick's skull. So we could do this a couple ways. We could put them in line there, since this is just decomp dummy, and that's probably faster. Let's do that. we can both give it a name and basically declare it inline anonymously. Kind of a weird syntax for C, but totally fine. So for Yorick, we need a 32-bit value at offset 80. So we start with offset 7C. That's where all these things start. We have a 32-bit value that we're not using. And then at offset 80, we have a 32-bit value that we are using, and we'll call that unknown 80 for now until we get a better name. And so actually 2, we need that at 84. So where we have this unknown or this U30 illegal U32, we'll do Yorick, unknown 84. And it should just work. It isn't an integer constant, stupid compiler. Okay, so we'll move that out of the entity extension because it doesn't seem to like. It doesn't seem to like my syntax. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, roaming. I appreciate you catching my mistakes. Too much detail. So we want to keep this at 20. If this moves past 20, we've done something wrong. So the skull also has the same, something that's the same at the same offset. Can we tell yet what Yorick's unknown 84 is? No. If we went back and looked at the Yorick skull function, can we tell what unknown 84 is? Maybe. But I'm going to keep them separate for now, assuming that those structs are going to diverge. And we're still at 20. So then our illegal, so I thought that, so this is part of the Yorick skull. And I think that this is a timer. No, it's a Boolean. So we don't know what that is either. But it should be here at 88. And here we have a unsigned 8. We'll call it 88. And that was wrong. Our value here went up to 30. So somewhere I screwed that. Oh, I changed it to self. That's why. And we're still at 20. So we're good. So self sine 16. So we have sine 16 is going to be at 7. No, 8C, right? So we need to go up to 8C, go past 88, up to 8C. And this was a sine 16. Call it unknown 8C. This was our timer though, right? I think this is our timer. No, we don't know what it is. It could be flags. We're always setting it to either 16 or 0. Oh, this is a flag. It looks like it's maybe a flag saying whether the skull is still alive or not. Is my guess. Or if we've just collided with the skull. I'll keep it unknown 8C for now. But it does look like a skull collision flag. Here's our timer. Is that not at 8C? That's the same thing. That is the same thing. So I'm going to rename this timer. And it seems to be like something to do with the kicking the skull timer. This is for skeleton parts, and we should have a skeleton parts entity extension. Let's find what that's using. Skeleton pieces. It's like there is a skeleton. Hopefully these are the same. Here at offset E. So 8E, right? No. E. So that will be 7C, 7E? No, 7A. And it's being accessed as a unsigned 8. So I possibly attack timer index? No, that's 8. Looks like it might be something in this space between these two. Let's look at attack timer index, see what the offset is, and then adjust. 161. Oh, it is 8A. So explosion timer. So this is going to be explosion timer 2, which we had to add. Oh no. Explosion timer 2 is too far. So there's a unsigned or signed 8, doesn't matter. Be fun to remember. And do we have any more illegals? Nope, that's it. So now we have to go back, update our entity extension. I won't do these inline here. Oh, I was wrong. It is explosion timer 2. So just setting these up over here. We typedef them all, make them easier to reference. And then I will copy this new version over. Actually, I'm going to build first. Get that out of the way. And now that that's built, I can come back and use the version that has all of the updated enums. I do have to change this to explosion timer 2. And that builds fine. So I do have other illegals over here that I need to fix. Now we have a Yorick skull enum. Unfortunately, every time, or enum struct, every time I change this, I have to update, or we have to rebuild 1,300 files, which is not ideal, but that's what has to happen. So well, that's nothing to it but to do it. So our unknown U8 at OC right now is unknown 88. We'll rebuild. I'm going to try, hopefully I have them all. And this is the last time I have to do this for a while. We have a bunch of, our header situation is tangled, and I've been meaning to go fix it. I just haven't gotten to it. Oh, drat. We have OD too, and I don't have that one yet. So let's fix the others, though. Illegal 08. Wasn't it? No, it's, sorry. Sign 32, 2. Unsigned 32. It should be unsigned, or it should be signed. That's fine. That's going to be Yorick skull. Unknown 84. Which is offset X. So that's the X offset of Yorick skull. So we should be able to name that later. We don't have OD yet. Are those the last ones? No, we have a couple more. I'll come back through and finish these. It looks like OD is a Boolean. I do like using... Oh, not that one. Unknown 88 looks like a Boolean as well. I do like using the keywords when possible. Okay, let's add our others. It basically is. This is basically heart surgery. I can't think of anything else that is more critically life-saving. No. It is definitely detailed work, and small things can break everything. So I was looking at adding Clang D, which is a do people say Clang or C-Lang? I always say Clang. Clang D is a language server for C for Vim. I've not used autocomplete or any like modern IDE things basically since the 90s. No, not quite. Early 2000s. Not because it's good or bad or the other thing, but that's just the way that for a long time I was programming in languages that basically didn't allow you to do that, and so I didn't use it, and I got used to it, and I don't know. So now, what I wanted to do was integrate with an LLM. I've been like holding off on like AI vibe coding, but there's so much like language esoterica that I just don't know in a bunch of languages, and so why not just do it, get it over with, and not anything for decompilation, not decompiling directly, but tooling for decompilation. And so I was looking into doing that and got sidetracked. Okay, you hear Clang. Good. That's the way it should be pronounced. I remember in the long ago. So I need to get up to 94 with which isn't too bad. With my bit fields here. So this will be 90. And we're there. And what size do we need? An unsigned date. And I almost did it again. Well, anyway, I was trying to set up a language server integration with them. For what reason? I don't know. I think first I was going to do language server. Actually, the reason I wanted a language server, I thought it'd be fun to write a language server for Splat config, because there are little details in Splat config that are easy to get wrong, and sometimes you misorder something or screw something up in some odd way. And there's our volatile from earlier. A bunch of cleanup, and having like IDE integration with for Splat would be fun. Yeah, LSP. Yeah, that's correct. So if we had a language server for Splat, and you could get auto completion, and that auto, so if that integrates with Splat in some way, to give you details about offsets, or the segment types, or even simple things like auto completing the SHA when you're putting that in. There's no reason really that has to be done manually every time. That's it. I think that's where I'm gonna stop. What time is it? 1:30. Yeah, I've been on for about 2 hours, so I gotta go. So, what have we been doing? We've been working on Yorick. Took a long time, longer than I expected to get Yorick. Who's Yorick? He's the guy with no head, that you see in the reverse keep. And now he's decompiled along with a bunch of other stuff. Come on. We have a weird offset here. Here's Soten.dev. Soten.z.dev is where you'll find information about the decompilation project. You'll see the progress on different things that we've been working on. We've been working on reverse keep, which isn't in this list yet because I'm lazy and I haven't submitted any of these changes yet. We have how much? $14 functions left in the reverse keep, so not much left of those 14 functions. None of them are excessive. I mean, entity Yorick was in the top 4 for length at about 20K in size originally. The biggest function is 30K, so I think we'll do that tomorrow and crank out the biggest one, find out what it is, and then decompile it. But that's all I got for you. Stop by Discord. Come join us if you know how to program, and like decompiling or want to get into decompiling. It's a great project. But I'll see you all tomorrow. Adios.